Hello, I'm Dr. Kristen Lynn, and I'm going to give you a quick overview of how to use the Amscope dissecting microscope equipped with LED lights. The significance of the LED lights is they don't get hot, and so this is a safe microscope to use even with small children. The only danger is the microscope. So the first thing you'll notice is we have a dust cover on the microscope, and that's something you always want to have on your microscope when it is in storage, just to keep everything clean. And sometimes you have to fiddle with it. You can see this one actually is pretty similar on both ends. But if it doesn't go on one way, you can always flip it over and try it the other way. Just want to make sure everything is well covered. So I'm going to take that off. You can see with this microscope is it does have two ocular lenses or eyepieces, two of them, and it has these rubber eye cups just for comfort. We're going to go over that in a moment. You'll also see that it has multiple knobs, and one feature I like about this microscope is you can actually raise and lower the head. So for instance, if you had a big rock you wanted to put under here, all you'd have to do, support the head with your non-dominant hand. Carefully unscrew this part right here. And you can see that the head can move up and down. So if I had a particularly large specimen that I wanted to put on this microscope, I could bring it up and it would allow me to focus in on it. I'm going to leave it at about the middle right now. And then you want to finger tighten it, not like Hercules or something like that tight. All right. The other thing you notice here is we have this knob, which is on both sides. Let me see how I want to show you that. There's one on this side right here and one on this side. They are the same. They connect to each other. So if you are left-handed, you can use your left hand to focus. There's just one focus knob on a dissecting or stereo microscope. And if you're right-handed, you can use the right knob to focus. Either one is perfectly fine. Another thing you might want to notice about this microscope is right here. You will see right now it says 4x. That means it has the lens in there, the objective lens, that magnifies it 4 times. So if you were to look at something with this microscope with that 4x objective in place, you would multiply the 4 times the 10 that is of the ocular lenses, and you'd be looking at something that was 40 times magnified. So if we have it in the 2x position, we've got 2 times 10, which is 20 times the magnification. And that's usually where you want to start. So we'll just make sure that's in that 2x position. You'll see also we have these stage clips, 1, 2. And you can use those if you were looking at something on a slide. You would just take the slide and stick it under the clips to hold it in place. And you can still move it around a little bit. Right, these have a little spring to them, so you just pick it up and move it off. Now you'll also see right now I have this clear or frosted base in there. Now this allows me to pass light through the bottom, from the bottom up on the microscope. So we'll just turn our knob. If you look right, let's see if I can get the camera properly. Right here. On the left-hand side of the microscope, there's a knob that allows you to turn the lights up and down. I recommend you start sort of in the middle so that you don't hurt your eyes. And let's say we want to look at something that's relatively transparent. So as I mentioned, there's a few things you could do. Maybe you have a specimen on a slide. Now these are some slices of aloe plant. I'd want to take that slide, stick it under the clips. You want to center what you want to look at in the circle as much as possible. And then all you want to do is we want to fit the eyepieces or the oculars to our face. Now I need to leave my glasses on because I have an astigmatism and the microscope cannot correct for that. But if you do not have an astigmatism, it is much easier to take your glasses off. All right, so how to align it to your eyes? You have to really discipline yourself because as humans, we make do. Want to look in, spread the eyepieces all the way out, Get really close to the microscope, then slowly bring the eyepieces in. You'll see two white circles. Bring it in very slowly, continuing to be very close to the eyepieces. And then, boop, it will merge into one circle in the center. All right, now this is not in focus for me. So I need to use this knob here to focus. Just turn the knob until it's nice and clear. I wish I could show you what this looked like through the lens, but I don't have a camera in my microscope right now. I'm just showing you in general how to use this. Now, let's say I want to go up and I want to see it more clearly. All I want to do here is grab this nose piece and turn it clockwise, in this case, until the 4X clicks in. You'll feel it click, you'll hear it click, and you'll also see that the 4X is lined up right in the front. And you'll have to refocus for this. Just lean in, focus again, maybe move the slide around, see if there's anything especially interesting to look at. These microscopes are very easy to use, and they're actually very hard to mess up. So you can look at things, you don't really have to worry too much about them. You want to be respectful and not ever force any knobs, but these are relatively much easier to use than other microscopes. So anything that is transparent that you might want to see through, you're going to use that knob on the left and you'll use the light from the bottom. But dissecting scopes traditionally are not necessarily used for things like slides. We usually use slides with compound light microscopes. So I am going to turn the light off for a moment because it's a good practice to turn it off when you're not using it. And take the slide off and put it safely in a nice place. So another feature of this microscope that you may not have noticed is that it is cordless. See, there's no cord here. It actually has rechargeable batteries. So you can use it just by plopping it down and using it, or you can also just plug it in. So it has a charging cord, so you could charge the batteries if you wanted to, and you just plug the charging cord into the back of the microscope. And then you can plug this in and charge your microscope, or use your microscope with it plugged in. Either of those is fine. Don't lose this charging cord ever, because it's not something the company is willing to replace if you lose it. So you're buying a whole new microscope. I'll set that aside. Okay, I have another example of something transparent, and that is this insect in amber. So if you had something like this, you might think, this is transparent, but the insect is not transparent. I'm going to try it with the light from the bottom first. Turn it on. Turn this back to 2X. Look through the microscope, and I can see it is incredibly blurry. Right? It's very different from what we used a few moments ago on the slide. So I might focus up and down. I can see there's some things trapped in that amber that the insect is embedded in. I cannot see the insect very well though. Let me shake it up to a higher magnification. I still can't see the insect very well. So what this tells me is this may not be the type of light that I want to use with this type of specimen, right? This is an insect. It's not transparent. The stuff it's in is transparent, but that doesn't help me. So I'm going to take this off. First, I'll turn my light off. And I can actually switch this plate. Now, this plate is glass. So you want to be careful with this plate. It's very breakable. I'm going to set it aside. And then what I have is this secondary plate. And you'll see it has a white side and it has a black side. Now, if you've ever done any art or anything, well, or just trying to visualize something, sometimes having a dark background is very helpful. Sometimes having a white background is very helpful. So at this point, I'm going to start with the white background. All you do is just slip this in. And now I don't want to use the light from the bottom because it can't get through. So I want to use the light on the right-hand side. And that is right here. You'll see you can make some adjustments to that, but it should be just fine where it is. I'll turn that up. I'm going to take my little cricket, I think it's what it is, and stick it under here. Put it back to the 2x. So I'm looking at 2 times 10 or 20. Oh, that's much better. Now, some of this is going to have to do with your preference. Right? So everyone's eyes are different. Everyone's focus point is going to be different. So I might look at, say, a couple of hairs on this insect's leg. I'm going to focus a little differently than if you were looking at the eyes on the insect's head. So you want to focus it and look just to see what it is you're excited about seeing. I'm going to try this with the white background. It works pretty well. And you could do this with just an insect from your yard. Well, I would not recommend putting a live one under here because it would be hard to track. But you could maybe find one or find a cicada once it is passed and stick it under here. And put it up at a higher magnification. And then just turn this knob. This is the focus knob right here on the side until it's nice and clear for you. Okay, I'm going to put it back to 2x. I'm going to try the black background. So take my little insect off and flip over base. Now I'm going to try that. Ooh. So you can see different details depending on your background color. And that's something important to know as well. I try it one way, switch it around, try it the other way. This is the type of tool that has a little bit of leeway, right? You are going to customize it to your happiness so that you can see what it is you want to see. Okay, so this is a transparent piece to some degree, but it's got an opaque or something inside of it that is not transparent. Light cannot really get through that cricket. You can also look at something like a fossil. So I have here an imprint fossil of a fish. I had to look to see what that was. And it's clearly not transparent. So I wouldn't even think about using the glass base. I'm going to put this on here. Make sure it's at 2x. And then I'm going to focus. Now the color of the background doesn't matter because this fossil piece takes up the entire field of view. So you can use whatever one you want. And you can play with the light and see if you like it brighter, if you like it dimmer. And you can see that imprint fossil of a fish. And there's actually some fossilized tissue as well. So you can use a dissecting microscope to look at things that are not transparent, like fossils or rocks or insects or sand or anything like that. And you can also look at things that are somewhat transparent, or you can look at things that are very transparent. In this case, this is on a slide. And if I did this, I'd want to put the glass in. When you're done with the microscope, you want to make sure that the 2x objective is in place. You want to make sure that the base that is currently in is secured. So you want to just slide the clips over. Show you what that looks like. See, now the clips are holding it in. And then you want to turn the lights off. Make sure the lights are off because you don't want to run down the battery. When you're done, you make sure that the eyepieces are pushed in, just as you can see the eyepieces move out and in so you can fit them to your eyes. And that's important because that will help with headaches. A lot of people complain about getting headaches using a microscope because they haven't fit it to their eyes or they have the light up too brightly. All right, so you have it all set like this. Now you decide which base you want to leave in there, but make sure if the one that you did not leave in the microscope, you put back with the microscope. So you might want to slip it under the pins as well. Not a bad idea. And then we want to make sure we put our dust cover back on. Just put the microscope in its storage area and it should be nice and safe for the next time you want to use it. So that's it. If you have any questions, just reach out and enjoy your microscope.